I got to find out. Gee, I should have checked. Do we have 31 days in September? Let me just hang on. I'm going to check right now. $30 days. Okay. All right. 30 days. So we're going to go the 29th and 30th, and then 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And that should cover, because the emotional value spikes in the first week. So if something's even leading up to a big event, it should show up in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd of October, because it's the first week of October. Okay, so let's have a look. So we're going to start with the 29th, which is Monday, and then Tuesday's the 30th, Wednesday's the 1st. Okay, so if I get mixed up, you guys, I'm sure you'll put it in the comments, but I'll try not to mix those up without Coco helping me out. Okay, let's have a look. 29th, so Monday the 29th. Today is Sunday. I'm putting this up on Sunday, the 28th. Monday the 29th of September 2025. What can we expect? Okay, so there's a lot of unique news and lots over the pond. So I'd say lots of news in the UK, and we've seen that over the whole weekend too. Lots of things happening in the UK, especially since that demonic fella that they call their prime minister. Unfortunately for them, they got a prime minister a lot like the Canadian one, just an unbelievable deep stater. Okay, he's threatening to push through having the digital IDs. And well, as far as he's concerned, it's going through. But a lot of people are like, there's millions of people, 200, was it 200 million? No, that can't be, that's too many. 2 million maybe? Anyway, there's a 2 in there somewhere, and it was in the millions as far as I knew, who had signed a petition to the government to not have digital ID. Okay, that's just for starters. And of course, there's all the rallies going on the entire weekend, demonstrations against it. And also lots of really good people coming out against it, even in their own, in their own governments and ex-government peoples. I mean, it's just scary. But of course, you guys know that I believe that place was already capitulated. And there's even people calling for King Charlie Pants to step in and yank out the prime minister, which, these guys are all actors, just to remind you. We got a bunch of actors playing out a part there. And I feel like the crescendo of crazy is we're about to the crescendo. I don't know if it could get any scarier or crazier. And that's about the time the whole shift comes. And who knows exactly what'll shift it, but something's about to shift it is what I figure. But let's have a look and see if we can't see what that might be or get more details. So this is for Monday, the 29th of September. And it's saying places and people far away are more in the news than are and that, because I'm reading from the Haida Gwaii, I would assume it's saying North American news will be trumped. I love it that the word trumped is, Trump's last name is Trump, which, look it up. In tarot cards, it means like your most important cards. And when something is trumped, it means it's overshadowed by something even bigger and more powerful. So it's really interesting that Trump has that last name. But anyway, so this is interesting. We've got the Temperance card here. So it doesn't look like an event, like there's a lot of hyped up fear, and it especially coming from, and I'm going to assume Europe and UK. Okay, things will look really scary so you UKers in the audience, get prepared to be detached and not take things too personally, because your news will look really bad on Monday, and it's been looking bad for a long time. In fact, people are all claiming that the UK has fallen. I feel like all of these places have fallen already, and that this will all come to a screeching halt, all these things. Remember, I've been saying that for a long time. So if you're getting really freaked out, remember I say that. Okay, so, and I'm not saying everything I'm saying is true, but I'm just saying, take a bigger perspective and take a breath, and, like, things are playing themselves out. And that much I've been dead accurate on. Things aren't what they seem. And every time it hypes up into, okay, pretty much the end of the world scenario, it doesn't go that way, right? Like, think of all the times it looked like third world war was going to be announced, and things were going to go literally nuclear. Okay, and then it steps back right at the last minute. Then you don't hear about it for weeks and months. Okay, so you're watching theater and they're playing you. They're playing us all. Okay, so our job is to get seasoned to that and not fall for it. Okay, so here we've got, so news, but it's generally like kind of a quiet day. It won't be as traumatic as one would expect for this time of year. Okay, like a lot of news from the UK, like I said, lots of worrisome things, and they keeping up the hype with all the things that fraudulent governments are going to do. Okay, it's like literally like I can't even fathom anyone listening to the mainstream news and thinking that their government isn't their enemy. If you can't see that government is your enemy with the way they're presenting them, okay, there's something wrong with you, man. You are not thinking clearly, okay? Or you got some kind of a mental illness, like seriously, because it's too obvious right now. Like, they're making it so obvious that you'd have to be thick to not pick it up, or just literally living under a rock, okay? So normies scared out of their wits, people that we've been calling normies. Oh yeah, I was going to stop calling them normies. Sorry about that. Let's say people that aren't watching videos like this. Okay. They're absolutely in a crescendo of freak and fear. Okay, and here we've got the Four of Cups. So towards the end of the day, just a little tidbit, okay, that gives you hope on the horizon. So this community will spot it. I doubt if these guys will, but this community will, okay? And people just on the verge of figuring stuff out, they'll spot it too. Okay, I feel like there's a little bit of hope by the end of the day here, okay? And moving you into the next day, like where you surrender the fear and go, you know what? Maybe we are going to turn this boat around. Okay. Now, I know we are going to. In my heart, I know that. I mean, you don't need to know that. That's up to you to get to that place yourself. But in my heart, I know, and I'm going to manifest, we turn the boat around. Okay. And I believe in, with the cards and what they've been saying, that the boat will get turned around here right at the very last minute. And I guess they just really got to ramp up that crazy, so people really get it, right? They need to get that. Who's your real enemy and what's really happening? Okay, so it does look like business as usual, the way it's been going for, pretty much a couple of weeks here. That's what's going to happen Monday. Okay, now we're Tuesday, the 30th. Okay, so Monday's the 29th. Tuesday's the 30th. Let's have a look. September 30th, 2025. Oh boy, there's some ramped up something here. Judgment card, that's a big wake-up call card, where people are being woken from the dead. Okay, so something should drop that's pretty impressive, and certainly, sounds like a trumpet. You know what I'm saying? Like really obvious wake up here. That's what that feels like. And then the Two of Swords. So that's, I don't know what that means. Let's have a look. Keep looking here. What'll be underneath this will help me read this one. So we're coming from, and as you saw towards the end of the day, There's a surrender card on the last read we just did. Well, this card's kind of makes sense too. It's like, are you having trouble sleeping? I feel like we move into the 30th having maybe not too much sleep on the 29th. So that could just be the energies, and they are really ramping up, just like Cliff said they would already. I'm already feeling the ramp up. So it is difficult to sleep all the way through the night. And I feel like that's, a lot of people are going to feel that. Okay, so we've got that 5. So a real obvious something that'll look like war. So remember, I was just talking about war and Third World War. So whatever it is, I feel like it's a calm in the form of, and or a signaling in the form of more rhetoric around World War III. Okay, and like a big buildup around World War III, and we know they're having that meeting. I forget what day is it. Tuesday, Wednesday, but they're meeting with all those generals, okay? In the US, a whole bunch of generals are all meeting, and it's largely talked about because they don't do this unless war is happening, okay? But I got a feeling that the real war they're really preparing for has nothing to do with Russia, China, the Ukraine. I don't think it's any of those. Iran. It's none of those. It's not those kind of wars. I feel like it's a whole different kind of thing that they're having those generals all come together for. I feel like it's maybe more otherworldly, other dimensional, or spiritual. I feel like it's not going to be anything like what we've been calling war. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so with that 5, but a lot of people are going to see it as more ramp up for war. And so whatever happens here that it's talking about here, ramping up for war, and it's a political move, and some political parties coming together looking like they're all for, getting together against another place. So again, looking like a war situation. And we've had this has been going on for at least 4 years. Jean-Claude and I have been talking about this. They keep doing this, okay? It's really interesting. I don't know why they're doing it, getting us to look and look and look again at certain situations, getting us really going down all the rabbit holes, but and maybe really looking at all the other wars that have happened in the past and how they maybe even create them, mostly in the media, like the movie Wag the Dog, right? And there's been other movies that really signal that, that technique as well, right? Keeping everybody on the edge of their seat, thinking there's war, war, war. And really, meanwhile, we're literally in one, okay? And most people don't seem to know that. So that's fascinating to me. But anyway, so some big rhetoric around war and governments coming together and going against a certain country maybe. But I feel like all of it is even towards the end of the day on the 30th. So that's by end of day on the 30th. All of that's already going by the wayside. They've already dropped that. Can you imagine? So they started in the day early and then drop it by end of day. And then now we've got something developing by late in the day and maybe even evening on the 30th, something around the financial market. Okay, and we've seen silver climbing and dollar a day moves on silver. And we were all told that once it hits 50 American, which we're really close to, and by the time this video goes up, I don't know where silver will be sitting, but it was about 46 and some change an ounce. And when it hits 50 an ounce, like basically, and it's already as high as it's going, already stopping the silver shorting. Okay, which apparently once that is halted and the $50 an ounce mark halts it, okay, apparently banks fail, okay, because they need to short the silver to keep faking everybody out that, all's good in the banking system. Meanwhile, the dollar's been absolutely crumbling. The US dollar, Canadian dollar, that's been for a long time, like it's almost worth, well, about half of what the American dollar is, which is outrageous. And the euro too, we're about half the euro. So it's just, we're getting plastered out there, Canada. It's like when I went to the UK, everything was literally costing me double. It's like, what? Yeah, crazy. Okay, so here we got that Queen of Pentacles, something in the financial market toward end of day, some kind of creeping in news, and they already moved away from the war rhetoric. So that's just wild. They're getting shorter with these rhetorics. They're lasting like half a day or 2 days or something. It used to be you'd have at least a weekend where it ramped it up. Okay, so now the 1st. So October 1st, that would be Wednesday, October 1st. That's what we're looking at now. Mm-hmm. Oh boy. The theater really showing its hat. So a real outing of some kind of something that'll just, I feel like something really gets outed on social media to be theater. And like it's already been the case with the Charlie Kirk thing, and then who his wife really was and all that kind of stuff. Like that whole thing stinks to high heaven of a huge psyop, likely by the White Hats, for a whole bunch of reasons, right? I've been talking about that for a week and a half, so you guys know what I'm talking about, right? But this looks like something, and it might even be more of that, but really put something to rest or really question something. Oh, maybe it's the Amelia Earhart thing. Okay, so people are really wondering about why is Trump signaling Amelia Earhart, and maybe the whole idea that her plane was lost. Maybe they knew exactly what happened to her plane, and maybe she isn't even a she. Have a look at her. Yeah, she could be a guy. But anyway, yeah, fascinating. Something gets really outed as a part of the theater and movie. I have no idea if it's any of those things I just mentioned. Right? It's not telling me what. It's just saying something's really, and we have to move away from, and this community's been really having to move away from like moon landing. I mean, that's obvious. 9/11, that's really obvious. Blah, blah, blah. All these things that supposedly happened, never happened. All of our history being fake and everything. We've had years of getting used to that. And some people have known it for years and years. Okay, but this feels like something even new to us. So it could be that Amelia Earhart or even something else. I feel like the World War II situation really needs to get dismantled. I think a lot of that was BS, right? Right. That'll be ugly. Anyway, I don't know what it is, but something comes out that even this community is like, whoa, now we're gonna dismantle that. Yeah. Okay. But otherwise, not any big events here. Not really seeing big events. But early in the morning here, we're coming out of this. So some kind of something drops legally. So maybe we hear about more indictments. Yeah, some kind of wake up call legally. So maybe they're signaling more people that are indicted, or they've uncovered more of those, because we know there's thousands and thousands of indictments just waiting to be revealed. Maybe they'll reveal even more of them. And we know that recently they've revealed some of them. So yeah, the people are on the edge of the seat with arrest, anticipation, right? Okay, so here we've got the Ace of Cups. So the near future, the Ace of Cups. So by the end of the day, the normies have some kind of a feel-good story, or the regular folks. I really did want to not call them normies, but you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So the non-truther types, okay, they're by the end of the day, some kind of feel-good story, or some kind of, it could even be more about the med beds, like that AI video that got put up on Truth Social, I believe it was, looking like it came from Trump himself, but then was taken down right away. So leads me to believe, and I haven't looked into this yet, guys, but I'll be doing that tomorrow, Monday, on my regular scheduled world news. I'm going to for sure have that as one of the questions. But I mean, maybe we're talking about that situation, right? Like, what did he really mean by putting up that video? Or did he really put it up? Like, did somebody else put it up? Anyway, because a lot of people are sitting around really depending on med beds. And that sounded really fake to me. And it did look really AI. And it didn't sound like Trump's voice, really, to me. Okay. But who knows, right? Maybe he's putting out a trial balloon to see what people think, or well, you never know what they're really up to. And it's not really Trump doing it. It's a brand. So it's a whole psychological exercise. And I feel like it tests the water, tests us. Watch the video that Mark Atwood put out talking about it. He has some good points. And I don't know if I shared it on the channel, but I definitely shared it on my socials. Okay. Okay, so here we've got the Fool and the Lovers. Okay, so the Fool and the Lovers. Okay, possibly one of the governments gets completely hijacked or under, like right at by the end of the day, I feel like, I don't know, that could be France because they're so close to just tearing down that Macron guy, or it could be the UK because there's so many things going up against that Starmer fellow. Is it time for one of those guys to come down? I feel like some government person, and it's likely in the UK. I just get a feeling about that. Over the water is what I get a feeling of. So over the pond, as they say, it'll be one of those guys, and it'll be a government like where he just gets outed so bad that there's no coming back from it. And Starmer's looking really like a good candidate for that. Okay, so that's a pretty big day on the first. Some major arcanas and an ace there, but could be exciting, but I don't think it's what we're thinking is a big event, as big as, to spike the emotional as high as it's going to spike. Let's have a look at, but it could be the building tension around it. Okay, now we're going to look at the 2nd. So Thursday, the 2nd of October. Oh, starting off with the major arcana. Oh boy, these are the kind of cards you're looking. Oh boy. Okay, 3 major arcana so far. Oh my goodness. Okay, wow. Okay, a lot more people are aware or yelling for their freedom. Okay, a lot more people are realizing their freedom's being taken away, and they're starting to say, well, we don't want that. This could be about getting a really strong, somebody's going to really clamp down on, like, I think make a bad move in their government or policies. Of course, they've all been doing that on purpose. I feel like they've been like given the script to do that, let's say. But somebody's going to take a really strong stance and use strong language, a government group, and in one of these capitulated government, yeah, and they'll look really like they'll do a really bad, like, no, where people will absolutely, like, and it wakes up a whole bunch of people. So we get a big wake-up call in a move by a government here. And even Trump will likely weigh in on it. Maybe not that day, but in the near future. Like, so somebody really doesn't know. No, I'm thinking it's probably Starmer. All of this is feeling like the UK is really going to get some big attention here. So I'm going to just say that because it's not telling me who does that, but somebody really gets really steps in it, let's say, with that devil. And so much so that even the sleepers are like, woken up and went, what? No way. So it's probably further taking moves towards, even though all of these people are against that digital ID, making it look like, nope, we're rolling it out anyway, kind of thing. Some kind of big move like that, the strength card, but devil move that nobody's going to like. Okay. Somebody takes a big move and really puts themselves on the map for being a scumbag. Well, that could be any one of them, frankly. Any one of the governments. They're all in line for that. Australia, New Zealand, like all of them. Okay, let's have a look at the 3rd now. So this is Friday. So we looked at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now Friday, the 3rd. Let's have a look. Oh boy, we got an ace. Two aces. Oh, oh boy. Oh, good. I'm so excited. Oh boy. Okay. And the Wheel of Fortune. So a big turnaround. Something was going in a certain direction and then it gets like slammed around like quite the opposite way. For the good. Okay. So maybe we even see a whole, they're going to push that. I'm just giving scenarios, and I'm not saying it's this for sure. I'm just giving a scenario, but something like feels as big as something like Starmer trying to push through that digital ID, everyone yelling and screaming about no, 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 and all these stories going around about what that would look like and how China looks, them having done it. And I feel like all of a sudden something comes to a screeching halt or really gets challenged and turns it all around to the joy and celebration of, so something comes to a screeching halt that looked like it was going to go ahead. And it was something no one wanted. And then all of a sudden the humans get their way and there's cause for celebration. So something gets slammed down, and it could even be legally. So I don't know if it's that or something else but there's so many things that could be when you think about it, right? So many things that could be. So that looks like a really exciting day, but none of this looks to me like it's as big as, so we're like, as the week goes on, it looks like we're building tension, but we're not in the highest tension day. Okay, so I'll keep looking all through the week around this because it doesn't even look like by the 3rd we're in that highest tension. And Cliff did say within the first week. So there's still, 4 days of the week left. Okay, so I'm not going to go all the way till that because we can do that later in the week. Okay, but we've got as far as Friday here, and we don't see an event as big as what I was thinking would be indicated by that high value, that high spike in emotional value. So we're not there yet, even by the 3rd. So I'll leave it there with you. Sending you guys ravens. Love you. Take care and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Oh, a big old ace. So she was kind of created. Okay, now this is interesting though with that ace and the 2. So now, now I'm thinking we got somebody who's capitulated. Now I think she might be doing the work of in this information war we're in. See this card here. She's in cahoots with. But not bad guys. So I feel like she came over or was told to, you need to get on board with the White Hat Alliance outing of all of this stuff. So I feel like a lot of the things she's doing, looking at these cards here, a lot of the things she's doing is to out maybe how ridiculous and how created her whole thing is. And people like her. Right. So it feels like they're using her brand, and she could be doing the walk of shame, and she could also be facing down the road, or at least her family. I mean, I don't know what age group she is, but her family could be facing, some situations. We could ask about that.
Oh, very interesting.
Or something. Yeah. Because it looks to me like she's not, or this is 2.0 or even who knows how many they've used. I don't feel like this is the real Greta we're looking at. And I feel like this is background deals. So they've made deals to use her brand, but the people using her brand, the desire is not against humanity. So to me, she likely got capitulated and or brought herself over. It could have even been her idea. Because if you really watch what she's been up to, do you have any current stories like show everybody what she's been up to? Because it does make her look so foolish, really.
Yeah, for sure. So as of late, she's been protesting about what's been going on in Gaza. And this is from the Britain is Broken X account, says breaking Greta. I guess this just came out today. Greta Thunberg and crew fake an Israeli drone attack on her Freedom Flotilla. Did you see any clips of that, Janine? The Freedom Flotilla heading for Gaza. It was her, one of the Game of Thrones actors, and some other people.
Yeah.
Greta Thunberg claimed her boat was struck by a drone. However, Tunisian authorities confirmed there was zero drone activity in the area. Turns out someone aboard set off a flare and blamed it on a drone. Another lie added to the long list of Palestinian propaganda. Seems like she's kind of desperate in a way to remain relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, there's only so long you can do a certain kind of shtick, especially as an activist, which is something kind of random to be in the public eye, right?
Let's have a look maybe at what is this all about? Does this have any real truth to it? Like, or is it like, if let's watch for things like the Magician card, the Seven of Cups, the Seven of Swords, which would be like let's look for the Psyop card. That's the King of Cups. The Seven of Swords is when they're and I'm not saying this for your benefit because I know you know your cards, but the Seven of Swords, I'm saying it for the viewing audience, is often considered a strategy card. So maybe they're using her strategically, which is that first pulse does suggest, right? So let's have a look.
Right.
But if she really legit is like, there's a person really believing in those causes,
right?
I think they'd be lying about it. You know what I'm saying? Interesting. 10. And so this is a large audience. So I think they're using her brand because she's had a lot of eyes on. And it looks like that's my White Hat Alliance card in the middle. It looks like she had a big amount of people. So she looks like she was taken off the scene some time ago. So that's the breaking of facades and an illusion card. So there's what you see. And I think even for a long time, she was probably a bit of an illusion because she was set in place by her parents and or people managing her parents. Being a bloodline family, I mean, they manage the parents and the whole thing's managed, right? And funded by bloodline families. And I feel like that's ended. So that the real Greta and what she was really doing and what her agenda was and who was handling her. And when you watched for years, she had this particular handler for a really long time. When you look back at pictures of her and stuff, there was this woman handling her. And you could totally tell that was like, she was probably MK Ultra handled, right? Now we've got, and that could be why you see that in her eyes, Meg.
Right.
When they've been handled like that, like she's been messed with from the time she was young, probably satanically ritually abused. Like her whole family's so suspect, like weirdos, right? So now we've got the 10, and they're also very connected. So don't even kid yourself. She's coming from huge money, okay? But it's all like there's being all subtle about it. So we've got that she's being used, it looks like, as part of the wake up. So so even what they're doing there, so we've got the alliance here, and so a lot of this looks totally staged. So whatever we were looking at there, they're using it to wake up her large audience because she had a lot of people looking at her. So if they make her look foolish, she's already like embarrassed herself so many times in the public. I have a feeling it's the way of the Biden regime that was fumbling around there for 4 years, making complete fools out of their entire group. I feel like they're using that same tactic with her.
For sure. And do you feel, Janine, and you may have already said this, so forgive me, but do you feel she was created from birth for this role that she's playing?
Let's have a look. Yeah. I mean, if her family are transgender, like I suspect, that mother couldn't have had the kids. So maybe she was even placed in the family, right?
Barb Zona. Oh, sorry.
Sometimes they even have the father birthing the kids and the
Mm-hmm.
woman who's the male, but often the family doesn't, they're more for looks. They don't even actually like have a regular connection relationship. They don't
Right.
use sexuality in the way sort of healthy people do. They use it as a dominance and an abuse and a power and to connect with their gods, demons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they don't use it in any way to be empowering or make a connection with their partner. So the relationships are always weird. You can tell by looking at how they interact and stuff. I've watched her family and her growing up for quite a while. It's pretty interesting when you like look beyond the veneers. Yeah.
Right.
So we're looking at, how did you put it?
Yeah. So was she like created from birth basically to be in this role, or is this a natural person that was born that was then put into this role?
Okay. I think it was from birth.
Oh, wow.
And they might have even thought about it pre-birth. So had the idea and then created the whole scenario, put the parents together, chose the child they were going to place in the family. I'm not getting a real family connection here. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the kids were all placed in the family. Okay, so yeah, this feels like it all came together, maybe even beforehand. And see, we got the big psyop card. So the whole family and their dynamic and what they say their background is, how they would have met each other, the father and the mother, all of it looks like a big lie. So we had that same thing happen with Meghan Markle. Like
Mm-hmm.
Meghan Markle was also a boy at birth, surprising as
Right.
that. And then she was used by the White Hats to show, like, I believe even before her wedding, they moved in on those two and capitulated them. So I think the White Hats have been around for a really long time doing the work behind the scenes. And they actually used the whole wedding to just show you they were there to out the royals. And also to out that none of those royals have their own babies. So, of course, she had the big baby bump that fell down to her knees and stuff. These guys look like they weren't infiltrated by the White Hats maybe till later, not like where Meghan and was about the time she had that marriage. Okay, this looks like the deep state would have placed her. So she had a different mother, it looks like. She was physically birthed, so she wasn't created outside the womb like sometimes happens. It looks like she had a physical mother and then placed in the family. And I feel like her family is like all of it looks like not true.
Wow.
So if you see big smiling pictures, I mean, there's a lot of families like that in Hollywood that I'm sure the veneer will come off pretty quickly if you just start looking. But yeah, it's a big psyop. Their whole family's a big psyop. And I think they've placed a few different Gretas along the way. So they might have had one at the beginning and then they replaced that one. And maybe that one's MK Ultra wasn't working and they got it. Yeah, like it's hilarious. It's unbelievable. Okay, about halfway through. So I'd say she would have been about 6 when she got replaced by another one. Maybe they thought this one would be better at the whole climate change stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So they create them in a way with MK Ultra and they use a lot of creative, they kill the real person that it was with mind control.
Right, for sure. And speaking of mind control, don't know if you've heard about this, Janine. This is from an ex post from Dinesh D'Souza. Children, notably Nordic white girls with braids and red cheeks, were often used in Nazi propaganda. An old Goebbels technique. Looks like today's progressive left is still learning its game from an earlier left in the 1930s. Is there any merit to this? Is that like, because she has a very distinctive look, right? These two blonde pigtails. Is this literal MK Ultra mind control being put on us that was used with the Nazis as well? Or is this just a coincidence, her appearance?
I suggest you find some real modern pictures of her, like right up till today. It could just be the actor they're using, but looking more and more like a big kind of gronky boy. It's quite interesting.
Yeah,
and people are making a lot of jokes about it online. Okay, so here we've got the bloodline family kind of card. So that could be like deep state Illuminati kind of card. And then here, so they absolutely did that too. They're absolutely emulating that. Look what you said. That's exactly where they're getting. Good one. That's exactly where they're getting their little little situation. Yep. Now we've got that star right in the middle. So there's a vulnerability to it, a vulnerability. So it leaves the, so this would be how it affects just regular folks. Maybe they trust that look or something with the braids and the little cheeks and stuff. But as she went on, she got stranger and stranger looking, in my opinion, and their little thing wasn't really working. Also, when she'd open her mouth, just the screeching and stuff that would come out, it would be like, kind of stopped working at some point. Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, they're like literally using her. She's literally was being used first. It's really sad when you think about it. She's placed in family, used, managed, MK Ultra'd, and used for political gain on the side of, looks like the far left and the wokeism, because all of that ties into, your climate change and et cetera. So they got these big agendas and, and they only can go so far because people caught on to it. It was like, okay, we've got pictures from 80 years ago of the same body of water, and it's exactly the same tides are happening. And it's like, there's some places that are naturally washing away and other places that are gaining, but that's all just natural ebb and flow of what happens in nature. It's like they've scientifically basically proven if there's such a thing, you know what I mean? But climate change has already been called out as a hoax. So now the white hats are using her brand. It's unfortunate in a way because her whole life's been used.
Right. Yeah, that is really, really sad. And this is a more modern picture of her, I guess, this might have actually been today or yesterday. So yeah, she is looking a little bit boyish there for sure. And this is a video of her from yesterday. Let's just take a little listen to what the heck she is yelling about, it seems like.
Just across the water from here, there is a genocide going on. A mass starvation committed by Israel's murder machine. Keep your eyes on Gaza. We have global media reporting about this mission. Where is global media when it comes to reporting about the hell they're going through in this genocide? Where is global media when it comes to holding war criminals to account? When it comes to defending their journalist colleagues who are being systematically targeted and killed, risking their lives reporting about the situation in Gaza. This genocide is being enabled and fueled by our governments, our institutions, our companies, our elected officials who are supposed to represent us. End your complicity, everyone, end your complicity in this genocide. Be human. No one is free until Palestine is free.
She's kind of scary a little bit. Hey, Janine, she's so...
I find that did not look like then the other picture of the Gronky guy. Okay, I find that they might have swapped that person out, because if you notice that other gronkier picture, the person looks bigger and just broader across the shoulders. I think they're purposely finding actors to really mess with you on purpose, so you'll notice stuff. They want you to notice, like they want regular folks to notice what they're doing here. It's time for people to wake up to this. Stuff happens. They use people all the time. They're always swapping people out, especially famous people. Okay, and we need to know what's been going on, right?
Yeah, definitely. Moniquin says, hello from Sweden. Her mother is an opera singer, often playing male roles. Okay, you can't make this stuff up. The whole family is dark.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for sure. Would you want to maybe take a look, Janine, at, because Greta, she's most known for, when it comes to her activism against climate change. Yeah. Climate change is still something that's being projected onto us as one of these end of the world scenarios, one of these very, new world order agendas to try to get us into the 15-minute cities and eat bugs and all of that. Could we maybe do a poll on what are we looking at timeline wise in terms of climate change? Is this still going to stick? Is this going to be really revealed at some point moving forward? Is there another way you'd want to maybe phrase that regarding the future of climate change, and that's still being a thing that a lot of people are believing in?
No, I think that's a good way to ask it. I'm going to do the big 7 card, like we'll do the pyramid spread. So we'll go past. So it wasn't even batting 1,000 in the past. Like it, really, like you can poke a lot of holes in what they're saying there. Mm-hmm. Okay. So in the past, it was kind of just barely holding on here for the last, say, 10 years. And a lot of people were poking holes in it, reputable people. Yeah. Okay, now the present, so it's gossip and innuendo. So a lot of things that you're hearing are, I feel like right now they're being used. They're almost like, it feels to me like in this war we're in. So we're in this worldwide war that a lot of people don't even realize we're in. Information war. And in that information war, they're using climate change to out it as gossip and innuendo. So I feel like right now they're actually giving it a walk of shame. And I'm not saying we couldn't do better looking after our world. We absolutely can, but not in the way they present it. In the way they present it is only just to take human rights away. But get us in those 15-minute cities, like you said, get us eating government sanctioned foods and like no more beef. And like, whose idea was that? They want to keep you sick, unhappy. They want the loosh. They want keep everybody in little boxes. Don't have any, it has nothing to do with literally the climate. And of course, anybody who is doing anything against our earth is very more likely the very large corporations that a lot of this agenda protects. Okay, so instead of actually outing who's really ruining your atmosphere, okay, they're blaming it on just the regular folks. And it's really the whole created way the system runs. That's what's, if there's anything wrong with your air, and there is a lot wrong with it. It's being sprayed at you. It's what they're putting in the soil. It's how they're growing food now en masse, the big food producers, it's right. So they're taking all of that blame away from where it belongs, and they're putting it on our shoulders and then raising our taxes. And it's just a money grab and a grab for land, taking all our land away. Yeah. It's just to make excuses for that WEF 2030 thing.
Right.
Okay. But yeah. So the past, it was sort of, it never really got as, like, there might've been some years there where it was really rocking, but then people caught on fairly quickly. Now it's literally like hearsay and used. I feel like right now the White Hat Alliance is now outing it as the fraud that it is, by making it look as foolish as it is. Okay, now we've got the strength card, so that's interesting. Strength, that'll change things. So a strong, somebody might come in to really give us a strong idea about where we're really sitting with it. what's really happening with our earth.
Mhm.
Because I know things are happening and changing. Okay,
Yeah.
but I feel like we don't know, like we've been led down the garden path. Now we're being gaslit on purpose, I think, by the White Hat Alliance just to wake people up. Like they're making it so in your face that this is how they do it. That
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, wait a sec. Right now this is the turnaround. I think we start to really turn around, past, present, very near future, start to turn around. I even think by the end of this year, it won't be holding any kind of leverage whatsoever. Like
Wow.
they've even got people like a laughable king, Charlie Pants there, who's clearly not the original Charles. And like like now he's like walking around dressed like he's from anyway, I won't even say it. I won't even say, you know what he's doing.
Right.
He's supposed to be the spokesperson for the religion in England. So what's that called? The
oh my God. Yeah. The
Church of England, let's just say
Right.
that. And he's walking around completely, basically became what looks like a Muslim in the Islam religion, if I'm saying that right. It's like the King of England. That's what he's spending his time doing. And then talking about climate change. So it's like he's a laughing stock and dangerous. Frankly, what he's doing is dangerous. He's basically handing his whole country over, and most of Europe's already being just handed over to, basically invaders. And they created that whole dynamic by placing all of these people in. It's unbelievable. But anyway, I feel like, so he's a laughingstock. He's the biggest, like with him and Greta being like, they're the big climate change activists. I mean, we know it's a joke now with those two.
Right.
So big turnaround comes just at the end of the year. I'd even say January, where you're really nobody's going to be taken seriously if they're even talking about it. And this card's the hidden influence, which is, it's just not holding water anymore. I mean, the CO2 thing, that was, I wonder if that was a psyop on the part of the White Hats with the CO2 and talking about it nonstop, because it's so easy to educate someone on the fact that, trees need CO2 to live. If we get rid of all the CO2, the trees die, the plant life dies, we die. How is that not really obvious? So the whole CO2 thing is just a riot and is easy to, and I am not even remotely an intellect of any kind. And of course, there's probably going to be some people laughing out there like, yeah, we know that, Janine. Okay, but I am intuitive and I'm wise in a different way. And you know what? Like there's so easy to poke holes in that. Like nobody, it's easy to educate people out of that. Somehow we've got to lower, get to a zero emission. Like it makes no sense.
Right.
Okay, it's like we're going to kill ourselves, and that's really what the whole WEF wants us to do anyway. They're wanting us to, put things in our arm that'll kill us, eat things that kill us. Give away all our property, they're just mass murdering. Really, that was the agenda. So it looks like by the end of the year, this doesn't even hold water anymore. Like people are stepping away en masse from it. And I've even noticed, like some of my normie friends, and I got lots of normie friends, unfortunately, but a whole lot of them aren't even, they're not even they won't even discuss it because it's too embarrassing at this point. Wow. So now we've got the 5. So we're stepping away. This is something to notice, stepping away. And there's been a really big, so we should congratulate really the White Hat Alliance, because they did a great job on really, through almost ridiculousness, educating people on how ridiculous. And I feel like that whole, taxes, carbon taxes and everything. By the way, we're made up of all carbon, humans.
Right.
Humans, right? What do we, grind down into? Okay. So we're against ourselves. Yeah, that's what they want us to be. Okay. So yeah, it's so ridiculous, but people will be really angry though. like, I feel like this will add this to the list of things people are going to be really angry about because they've been so fooled by this for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know about school for you, Meg, because
Mm-hmm.
you're in a whole different generation than me, but in the 70s, so I graduated in 79, I was 16, almost 17 at the time. So I was a kind of a young for being that graduating already. But
Mm-hmm.
in those times in high school and everything, the biggest thing besides litter, and don't be a litter bug, that was huge. Like, what a concept. Don't just throw your stuff out the window. That was huge. And
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. Let's not do that. Right. But the other thing was climate change. They were really, really coming on strong with it. That was when it was really, really taking flight. And I remember like the propaganda machine for it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
They spend a lot of time in schools telling you, what was all the scary stories about glaciers melting and stuff like that. And it's just like, instead of like, telling you that, in fact, every how many years that the Earth does go through a big change.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's for sure.
Cycles back around. Yeah. But these two are interesting. So we've got the Queen of Pentacles at the Page of Pentacles. I'd say, so January, again, another nod to January, where really it looks like some really solid evidence that it's gone off the agenda forever. I feel like it'll be so outed by then, and something in particular really helps push it right over the edge.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And have you ever heard of the term before, Janine, climate anxiety?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is something I feel bad because there's genuinely a lot of people out there that are going through climate anxiety, anxiety induced by the fear of climate change. Just want to play this quick clip on double speed, and then I want to bring this up with you in the cards.
To your parents, and it helped you it gave you more hope, I suppose. What is it that you were doing, like, to campaign to your parents?
Yeah, I mean, of course, when you're a child, when you're like 8 or 10 or 11 years old, there is not much that you can really do to make a difference. So you start small. I started with turning off the lights at home to save energy, and that led to another thing, which led to another thing, and eventually I stopped flying. I became vegan and so on, and then I got my parents to do that too, because I started talking to them, and they started to listen to my concerns, and by making them change, it also gave me the sort of courage that I needed to move on, to start school striking. So starting somewhere is really good. Starting home, for example.
I think that's what they say, isn't it? Start where you are.
Yeah.
Greta, these days, you're still just 19 years old, and you are a key voice in this huge global movement. That comes with a lot of pressure. What helps you deal with that?
I think the most important thing is knowing that we are so many people who are fighting for the same cause. I have so many friends who I can share this with, and who are also activists, and without them it would not be possible.
Yeah, you hold those other activists close. I actually saw this amazing picture of you having fun, because you also like to have fun, with Malala Yousafzai. Now, those hats, I know that there's a story behind them. You knitted them, crocheted them?
I crocheted them. Yes, that's what I do. I'm a frog hat factory.
Well, you're not exaggerating, because I saw you earlier with one of your team, and there were several members of the group traveling with you. People had the frog hats on.
Yeah.
How many have you made now?
Maybe 25 or so.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, we don't need to hear her talking about her frog hats. But this is something I've also seen with kind of normie friends and family members, where they are genuinely freaked the heck out by climate change. They have anxiety about it. Janine, for those of us in the audience that maybe we have a child with climate anxiety, or a grandchild, or someone we're close to, how can we navigate this? What do the cards have to say about this?
It's real. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Right? One more thing to get everybody, like, of course, they're keeping everybody, anxious about so many things, and that's one of them. And a lot of them are made up things. I mean, fear is like assuming something's going to happen, like you're calling it to you. You're literally, when you fear something, you're literally attracting the very thing with your energy, because you're assuming that thing's going to happen. You play over all the ways it can happen, and you know, like all of that's could create a lot of anxiety. So it's real. It looks real. Okay, so what to do about it? What to do about it? That's down here. So you're going to need patience. Okay, you're going to need to approach it patiently, so not with ridicule or teasing or take it for real, because it is real to them. To them, it's real, and people with anxiety, to them, it's real. I had anxiety for the first and only, thank goodness, time, like a really big anxiety situation for a few years there, after being on a really icy road in bad tires, and then after that, no matter what vehicle I was in, could have been a tank. If I was on roads that were even remotely looked wet or icy, that same anxiety would come over me, like I was in danger again, and I was petrified to drive in any kind of weather, even if it was windy. So that took a few years, and I kept changing my vehicle, thinking, okay, if I just get a more solid vehicle. Had a Volvo, and I had a, you know what I mean? Kept getting these vehicles to try to go, okay, what's the best bet for safety? And it wasn't the vehicle. It was my anxiety had to be handled and managed, and it takes time. And I love myself out of it. So you got to love your kids out, like love them, but patiently, quietly, like when they're not in a big, anxious, when they're not really in the full of it. Okay, that's when you want to have a little conversation with them, get some common sense in there, make sure you give them the other side of how things could be and what's really going on. Don't just not talk about it, I think, but talk about it when there's a loving space, and they'll listen. Okay, when they're having a big attack, an anxious attack, that's probably not the time. Okay, maybe hold them through that, love them through that, but just approach it with patience. And I do feel like with all the information coming out, maybe share some of that again, as long as they're in a receptive mood and maybe not in the throes of a big anxious attack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is really good words of wisdom. We're getting close to the end of the show here. Janine, should we maybe do a poll on what the rest of the year looks like for Greta Thunberg? She seems to be out there a lot still, but a lot of people are waking up.
Yeah. And like even that picture of supposedly that was supposed to be her and a friend with the frog hat, that wasn't her profile. That wasn't her. You know what I mean? How often are we seeing, like, they're just switching people up?
Yeah. Weird, Janine. I just noticed that this recent picture of her, she seems to be holding a frog hat again.
Yeah.
Interesting symbology there.
Yeah. And well, think about it now. Think about it. There's that frog drawing cartoon that's the far right people use. Okay. So Patriots, US, like everyone's, they've got that little logo on there. You know that it's going to be a really, really patriot-driven, truther-driven video if they've got that little frog in the corner. Do you know what I'm talking about? You guys know what I'm talking about? You guys know. The comments, share something in the comments with it. Okay, so they do the social media, and so I feel like that's more walk of shame. Right, because I think she got capitulated some years ago, and they're using her brand. So now they threw some frog visual. What does the frog have? She's not an advocate for frogs that we know of. Do you know what I mean? So why the frog? Okay, because that green frog, and that's not a handmade hat she's holding there. So she was saying she's making handmade hats, and those ones looked like she handmade them. Okay, that one doesn't look like a handmade hat, at least from what I can see there. You know what I mean? Like, interesting.
For sure.
Greta. What's really going on with Greta? Okay, according to this, she's not here anymore. Like she's long gone. Long gone. Yeah, she's see the 10 done and done. So they're using her brand politically right now. They're using her brand. The White Hat Alliance is using. She's gone undercover. So she's undercover. And somebody like her, like, I don't think that, like, I don't know if she'll be tribunaled or what'll happen, but somebody like her, she was born into this and didn't have a choice, really. I hope they take all of those things into consideration. Of course, she's young as well, but she's undercover. And maybe they're just, getting information out of her or whatever. They probably already got information out of her because she comes from a bloodline family. So she's going to know some things about how these people operate. But I feel like she might even be, and now we're going to get woo on you guys, be shipped off or other dimensionally moved. I don't think she's spending any more time here on the earth plane. And I don't mean she was I don't want to say the word, but I don't mean she was processed. That's the word I usually use for the Gitmo thing. I don't think that. And I don't think they do that to somebody who's young and was brought into it and had no choice in the matter. Like maybe if she was in her 20s and was still choosing to be on that route, she might face some, because you have choices at some point. Right. In her case, 19, I mean, and I think she would have been capitulated a few years ago, maybe at 16, 17, because this White Hat thing's been going on for a long time. And she's been making a fool out of herself since the beginning, but really bad for a few years here, where I was suspecting that she was being walked of shame, or their agenda was not necessarily her, but they're using her brand to make a point now. The White Hat Alliance. So I feel like she's not even on planet really, and or dimensionally, because possibly we don't live on round planets. I'm not sure about that yet. So I'll just say she's not currently on the Earth.
On the Earth. Wow, that is super trippy, Janine. Always very trippy when we look into these people. So very, very interesting. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And let's see, on the schedule for the rest of the day, we've got Ashal and I are going to be live for the As Above, So Below show. That'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Beyond Mystic channels. You guys can check that out.
So we're hearing that the Epstein files may be released, or at least the list. So what they call the list of abusers who were alongside Epstein, known to be abusers. And everybody knows that's going to be some big names. Okay, we already know some of the names. Like we know the Clintons are on there. We know that it's been touted out, lots of the names. We know what's coming, but we don't know all of them, obviously. So apparently some of the victims have gotten together and they've had some big, I guess they'd be like media reports, and these people in front of the media saying that they're actually going to compile a list between themselves and out this list. Okay. So it's really interesting timing, because Trump, when he first got in, and even partly how he might have got in, was he said day one he was going to out this list. Okay. And then he stepped back from that, which was very interesting. We looked at it. It looked like possibly they might have been using the Epstein information, they being the Dems. And Trump himself has even suggested that the Dems are going to use it for a big psyop, basically to try to take him down again. Okay, so it seems to me this yo-yoing back and forth, they're going to put these names out, they're not going to put the names out, the whole thing's a scam, like all of these back and forth things that have been going on. I feel like this is like the war coming out in the public so we can all see it. Okay, so we've got a deep state, dark cult bunch, the overlords, and the Trump Alliance White Hat team has been fighting these people for years. even some people say 70 years the white hats have been in place. Okay, but Trump came on board right around the time he got in office the first time. Apparently he got signed in to be kind of the head of and now the brand of this offense against the deep state. Okay, so it makes sense that in all of that time they were trying to take Trump down. If he really was involved in the Epstein, if he's on that list, it would have definitive proof would have come out because they've tried everything to take him down. Okay, could this most recent move, okay, with these survivors and victims, and some of them are suspect. I'm just going to say there's one person who's very suspect, who's very outspoken in this group, because she was somebody from the age 14 to 17 who is known to work for Epstein, okay, and procured her own friends at $200. So she got paid $200 a friend to bring these friends in, trick them, fool them. Okay, and I'm not saying a 14-year-old should know better, okay, but she was doing this till 17, and she didn't just quit on her own or try to escape. No, she got booted out of there because they said she was too old. Just to give you an idea what kind of pedophiles we're dealing with. 17 was too old. They didn't want her around anymore. But can you imagine? Okay, now she's apparently a victim and she's heading this thing, okay, or she's one of them that's heading it. And another really suspicious thing about this, could it just be a way to try to drag Trump in on this, even though so many people have come out? Even the lawyer, Epstein's lawyer, came out publicly. And he's been like stating this for years, that Epstein never names Trump. He's not one. And he's not, and even Ghislaine Maxwell herself said, no, Trump's not one of the people that's involved. Okay, so those two have been known to say Trump's not involved, but all of a sudden some of these victims, okay, are saying that he was. Okay, so the complete opposite of what some of the other victims say. So it's a very suspicious, all around, something funny is going on. Could they use this? And another thing that really tweaked my interest is that Gloria Elred, I hope I'm saying that right, is representing some of these women, okay? And I don't know if you guys have, I've looked into her and she looks really deep state. And I'm gonna ask that with the cards. I never asked the cards, but I'm telling you, she's suspicious, okay? First of all, she's absolutely been going after Trump most of her career, okay? And she couples up with her daughter, who's equally as demonic, actually, Lisa Bloom, okay, who's even been known to pay, so offered to pay somebody's mortgage if they'd say they were raped by Trump. Like, they've been trying to bring Trump down for years, okay, so, and never were able to. So with that much clout and connection likely to the deep state, you'd think if really there was a there, they would have already taken him down with it. So the fact that these people are supposedly, or in particular Gloria, is supposedly heading this bunch, this is what I'm really, really suspicious about. So what I want to ask is, first of all, this Gloria. Now, if I've been right about there's been secret tribunals, and I've been saying this for years, okay, you guys know I've been saying this for years. Secret tribunals are real. The Q thing, it's real. The Q drops are true. Like they're trying to educate us. That's my personal belief and what the cards have agreed with. And there's a spiritual war going on, all of that kind of stuff. I believe all of those things. That would mean that they likely rounded this woman up because she's a huge enemy of Trump and or truth, frankly, it looks like. When you look at her career, okay? So she comes across like this big advocate for women, but really, she's probably just used by really, really rich people to get rid of their enemies, in particular with women that come out and say they were raped by them. Yeah, so a whole bunch of her stuff's really suspect. And there's her and her daughter there, who's absolutely just a minion of her mother's here. But let's have a look. Am I right about that? What's going on with these two? First, we'll ask that. So that's a soft yes. Okay, and a secretive card. Now that's interesting. Oh my goodness. Okay, something's very interesting here. It feels like, okay, she came hat in hand and or kind of came a begging the white hat Trump bunch. Okay, so the white hat alliance and Trump team, she came and gave herself up here. Okay, that's what that looks like. And is so in a way, what I asked was true, but in another way, surprisingly, she had a turnaround and is secretly a double agent. So she's actually working with the Trump team, not to say that makes her a good person, but it makes her a capitulated person. And look that word up, what that means. Okay, but I don't think they strong armed her into it. She just saw the writing on the wall that people were getting rounded up back in the day. That's what that looks like. And she came over and said, okay, let me help. I'll help. Maybe it'll lighten her tribunal sentence or whatever. Maybe they're making deals in the background or have already made the deals. Okay, so this is going to play out as a big psyop. So I feel like it's a psyop inside a psyop. So they're going to really out what these people do and how they switch their stories around and how they use lawyers and etc. and even supposed victims. And some of these people really are victims, by the way, but they've sprinkled in some not so much victims, you know what I'm saying? And then they added this, deep state lawyer. Okay, so I feel like they're going to expose those things. They're going to expose how these things are done by the deep state and the dark cult. Okay, so all of this is by design, and it does look like it's why Trump's been verbally, at least, so it's part of the theater, saying, oh, he's going to release the files. Oh, it's all a big psyop by the Dems. He's going to out that they do things like that. Okay. And don't forget, apparently these files and these names have been in the hands of the FBI, for instance, or the CIA, or both. Okay, I believe it's the FBI. And we know they're absolutely like part of the problem and even had been the enemy in the past. But I believe they've also capitulated, or people that, high at the top have capitulated and or are facing tribunals. Okay, so this is absolutely wild. This is a psyop inside a psyop. So let's watch how it plays out. Let's keep a sharp eye on this. And I think we're going to out people like Gloria and her daughter there, and just like they outed Oprah. Like Oprah apparently, like just of the people and so generous. And turns out she's a child trafficker. Okay. Turns out she's absolutely a deep state and even has one of those rings that's likely a child carbonized, her first, satanic ritual abused child. Apparently they make those into rings. Anyway, just disgusting. Okay, these people are disgusting. Okay, so let's have a look at, something we want to promote here. So this is a double your power sale, and spend $100 or more and get any beginner series pyramid for free. I have some of these. I have actually 4 of them now. I started out with 2 and I just had to get the set, the Beyond Mystic and the Tarot by Janine set. So go have a look at everything she has to offer here. This is at Ascension Organites. Yeah, you want to check it out. Okay, now my second look today. Okay, now we're going to go to Canada. So we're going to go to Canada, and what on earth? This is communist Canada, or is this just insane Canada? Insane things are going on. Okay, let's listen to this fellow. We're going to listen to a little rant by this guy, and I completely agree with him. Let's have a listen.
Canada's police services have completely given up on you. Listen to this.
We know the best defense for most people is to comply, as you've just heard a number of safety recommendations.
So you just heard York Regional Police Chief Jim McSween telling the press that if your home is ever broken into, the best thing you can do is just implying. This was in response to Premier Doug Ford saying that he supports Castle Doctrine, effectively giving people the right to defend their dwelling with any force necessary. And yes, up to lethal force. But wait, there's more. He even went on to say the following after.
When members feel like they have to take matters into their own hands, and the only thing I'd say is, if we are going to rely on our community members to take matters into their own hands to solve this problem, we have all failed our.
Well, yes, Jim, you've completely failed your community, because according to CTV News, there's been 1,721 break-and-enter crimes reported in Toronto as of March 17. So this was a quarter of the year, by the way. That's a jump of 31.5% compared to the same time last year. But wait, in 2023, home invasions and break-ins for auto theft in Toronto rose by 400%, according to the Toronto police. So yes, it's normal that people are starting to want to take matters into their own hands. Is this what the true North strong and free have been reduced to? Rolling over and waiting to be robbed and complying with criminals? I think most reasonable Canadians want to have the power to defend their own homes and don't want to rely on police that is ineffective and clearly failing. But what do you think? Should we have castle law? Canada's police.
Unbelievable. So castle law, in case you're not aware of it, is where you can defend your personal property, your personal home, your car, things like that. And in particular, your home, because that's why it's called castle law. And when someone comes into your home, you can defend them even with force. Okay. And what this guy's saying is that, no, you can't actually, not here in Canada. And in particular, I believe this is in Ontario they're talking about. So I'm not sure that every province has this in place, but certainly they're pushing it out there. And Ottawa is the capital of Canada, and it's in Ontario. So it's absolutely scary that this is the state of Canada here. It seems to me it's almost too absurd. It's one of those, could this be too absurd? Could they be trying to educate the public? Could they be pushing so maybe they're putting the trial balloon out. Do people in Canada want to finally stand up for their rights and push for castle law here, where we can actually defend ourselves? Don't forget that they actually took away most of the guns here. You practically can't even have a gun to go hunting with here in Canada. So they've took us out at the knees. They've been doing that for a really long time. Is this a way to really show people just how absurd your government is? Or is this in fact something they're actually trying to push through and or going to uphold? Okay, so I want to look at that, because Canada's just, it's like we're showing the world just how communist a country can be, right under your nose. Nobody voted for this kind of thing. Okay, but here we have it, right? So let's have a look. So it's a wake-up call. So that's a wake-up call card. That's like the biggest wake-up call card in the deck. Look at the trumpeters. They're playing really loud, waking up the dead. Look closely at that card. And it's like we've got the Walking Dead, what we used to call normies, and I'm now calling them just the regular folks who I'm visualizing that'll wake up soon. Okay, those people need waking up. Okay, so that's what's going on here. And we've got the world. So this does look like they've just decided they're doing something to push everybody. They're pushing people to the max. Okay, and seeing just how far can they push you before you'll stand up. And it looks like it's going on all over the world. It's happening in Europe. It's happening all over the world, not just about things like this, but about freedom of speech in the UK, for instance, about all the illegal people being flooded into their countries, just dropped off, mostly men, fighting age men, not families. Like, it's just not normal migration. It's something's real suspicious about it. Like, they're pushing everything to the max. It's like they've got everybody up against the wall, just trying to wake them up. And some people really don't like this technique, but I've been seeing it as a technique of the White Hat Alliance for a really long time. So I can't say I like it or don't like it, but I do see maybe it's necessary, and it has been working, okay, to some degree. Okay, but a lot of people would want to argue with me on that. Okay, so see that Six of Wands though? This does look like it works. So we will end up with Castle Law here because of this, because of that guy coming out and really telling you how absurd it is and how stupid it sounds. Okay, so when you get somebody in power, okay, a police chief out saying that basically you can't protect yourself or your family, okay, so like they've even had just before that guy came out, they had a whole family. One of the people in the daughter was raped right in front of everybody. The father was killed. They had a whole family go down over home invasion. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's and then they got the nerve to come out with this. So this is clearly a wake up call. And even though it's outrageous and will probably absolutely enrage people. Okay, I feel like it could work here. It looks like it's going to work, and they will push through Castle Law because of it. And sometimes, unfortunately, humans have to be up against a wall, and you learn the most when you're put in a position and you have to absolutely, you absolutely have to pick a side or find a way through it. And your best, some of your best or worst traits will come out when you're absolutely up against the wall. And I feel like this is one way to do it. And this is what they're doing, the White Hat Alliance.
神圣裁决。Oh my god.